This is a Gaggia Brera. Gaggia is the brand of machine, and the Brera is the specific model. Just to give you an idea, other super automatic espresso machines can range anywhere from $400 to $3,200. This machine is pretty much a great benefit to anyone who ends up visiting places like Starbucks or their local coffee houses or baristas. And you're paying $6, $7 for a specialty cup of coffee. And you're talking about people who do this daily, if not multiple times every single day. You easily spend thousands of dollars on coffee already, so investing $500 or $600 into a machine like this, believe it or not, is a huge, huge money saver. You get a lot of bang for your buck. Now, what is a super automatic espresso machine? There's a lot of different ways you can make espresso. And this is literally the most convenient way. A super automatic is kind of like what it suggests. It does everything for you. It's totally automated. This is what's referred to as a bean to cup machine. You put fresh roasted whole coffee beans in the top, turn it on, push a button, and you have fresh roasted espresso. And of course you can use that to make a multitude of drinks. And yes, you can make regular old black coffee. Now of course with any machine or specifically any product, there's going to be pros and cons. Nothing's perfect. Where this really shines, I think, is it's the fact that it's so compact. Okay, this is only 12 inches high, all right, and about 12¼ inches to the very highest point of the machine, which is the lid for the bean hopper on the back. A lot of people have a limited height in their kitchen because of their cabinets. Now, if I put the camera up, you'll see that I still have some excess room on top here, so size isn't a huge issue. I still like the fact that it's very compact here. Price is an issue, okay? There's a lot of different factors and people pick different machines for different reasons. Does the $500 machine make coffee just as good as the $3,200 machine? In most cases, yes. It really just depends. I think personally that it comes back to whatever coffee beans you're putting into it. You have a quality coffee bean, the machine plays a little part in how it's going to taste. However, this machine is still extremely capable and I think would make just as good of a cup of coffee or a shot of espresso just as much as the $2,000 machine or the $1,500 machine or anything else. But the pros of the machine on this specific machine are very great. The biggest one obviously is size. A lot of people do have that limited counter space, specifically the counter height because of their cabinets being over top. But besides that, two features on this machine that I really, really like compared to a lot of the other machines is the fact that both the water reservoir and the drop container where your used coffee grinds, actually coffee pucks, because you'll see that later, but they both are in the front, so very easily accessible. Once I turn this machine on and push it back into the nook, I keep this in the corner of my my kitchen counter here. I don't have to touch it. I don't have to constantly move it. A lot of these different machines, your water reservoirs are on the side or even the back, and you're talking about handling your machine constantly. And every single time you move your machine, you have a possibility of damaging it. Some of the downsides you get because it is smaller, obviously capacity. The bean hopper on top, which I'll show you in a second, holds a maximum of 8.8 ounces of beans, and the water reservoir holds about 40 ounces of water. Now for me, in my specific use for this, which is, on an average basis, I'll probably make 1 to 2 coffee drinks a day with this machine. If you're someone who makes 8 or 9 or 10 cups of coffee or shots of espresso or whatever, any kind of milk-based coffee drink, and you're constantly using the machine, or perhaps you constantly entertain, maybe you're in a household with 10 people in it, who knows, you'd probably want to go with something that's bigger for the sheer fact that you don't have to put water in it as often, you don't have to fill the bean hopper as often. You do have a place to put a filter if you want to put like a charcoal filter in here or something. Anyway, like I said, on the back is the on-off switch right next to the power plug. So once we turn this on, you'll see our power button is going to just slowly flash red. And that's normal just to continuously do that. On top here, here's where the cup warmer is. Alright, now on top here on the front where the cups, you see, this is where I store these cups, these glasses. This is a cup warmer on the top. Now this is passive, meaning that there's not a specific heating element that's keeping this hot. You're not pushing a button and starting this to get it nice and warm. Being passive, basically as your boiler inside is heating water and stuff like that, the steam that is produced by the machine, either by the steam wand or internally, it's basically rising. Heat rises, steam rises, so this does get a little bit warm. I did find that this does not get incredibly hot, so you'll never burn yourself on it, first of all. But I prefer to warm my cup, because when you're pouring your shot or having a cup of coffee, it's something I never really even thought of until I started watching some of these videos on Whole Latte Love's YouTube page. Is when you're pouring hot coffee into a cold cup or even a room temperature cup, you're losing the heat of your coffee. The cup itself is immediately shocking that heated coffee and pulling the temperature down, and your coffee cools off faster. So it makes sense to warm your cup before you actually fill it with coffee. But the point I'm trying to make here is that this passive cup warmer on top, although it does get warm, it doesn't get warm enough for my preference. So what I do is, when the machine pushes water through the steam wand to clean it, I'll fill my cup with that. Or when it does its rinse cycle, which you'll see here when you turn the machine on, after it's been off for a while, it will go through a rinse cycle. Okay, basically pump hot water through the machine to clean everything out. If there's old coffee sitting in there in the lines or something, it cleans it all out, which is fantastic. What I'll do is, before I make a cup of coffee, I will fill the cup I'll use the cup I'm going to make the coffee in to catch that water, and therefore warming my cup. That's the passive cup warmer. A lot of these super automatics will have some form of a cup warmer. Some of the bigger ones and or more expensive ones have a specific heating unit that's made just to heat that, okay, whether it's electronic or from the boiler itself. We have our bean hopper. All right, there's a lid for it with a rubber seal on it, so it keeps all the air out of your beans so they keep nice and fresh. All right, like I said, it holds up to 8.8 ounces in here. And I've used ground coffee as well. I always keep ground coffee on hand. Just really cheap. I think this is, I think it's Maxwell House or something. Just some cheap, whatever, pre-ground coffee. And they have a bypass doser here you can put grinds in, which is a really big beneficial feature. I think pretty much every super automatic espresso machine has this option. So if you don't have access to whole coffee beans, the machine comes with this plastic scoop you see right there, and it's the exact dose you want for for this specific machine. And basically, you don't have to even touch the lid. When the lid's on, you have access to this bypass doser, and you put your grinds right in there. Now you can put your grinds in there to make regular coffee. You can do anything with that, but basically you have the option to not grind fresh beans, okay, and to just use ground coffee, pre-ground coffee. Yes, all the super automatics will have their own built-in grinder. That's bean to cup. It's doing everything for you. So you actually have a coffee grinder within the machine itself, which is fantastic. And what happens is when it goes on, it vibrates and pulls all the beans down in there and grinds exactly what you need for one brewing process. When you're grinding your coffee, you have an adjustment knob here for your grinds. All right, there's 5 different adjustments, and basically this is how fine your coffee grinds are. When you're making espresso, you want a really fine setting. Okay, so when the hot water is pushed through your grinds, the finer it is, the more flavor you're really picking up on that. It's very kind of condensed flavor. If you're making a traditional cup of coffee, regular old coffee, whether it's black or you put cream and sugar in or whatever, while the grinder's on, that's when you adjust this, and you basically rotate this to a higher or a bigger circle. I don't know if you can see those on there. But basically that's, showing you that it's a, the grind setting. So there's 5 different grind settings. Now in the front here, where the coffee dispenses out, there is an adjustment. Pull on both sides. This will raise and lower the spout where it's actually coming out. So if you have a smaller cup here, let's say this cup, you just want a shot of espresso or something, you can adjust this down to prevent some splashing. I found that I haven't used this, honestly. Since I've had the machine, I've had it up the entire time to accommodate larger cups. And believe it or not, this will accommodate a fairly large mug. Alright, here's one of my favorite Pottery Barn mugs. And fits perfectly under there. Everything rests on here. This is your drip tray, which is pretty straightforward. In case you make a mess or whatever, it's not going on your countertop. It's catching any residual splash or anything like that, particularly when you're using the steam wand. In this specific case, it's a plastic drip tray, and it has a metal insert on top. If I lift this up, you'll see it's very easy to clean. Just wash it in the sink. What's pretty cool about this too is that there's a little plastic piece in here that floats, all right, and it pushes up. And obviously you can see it's like a bright international reddish orange color. So basically, as you're going through the process of using the machine, this will slowly push up and up and up as it gets filled up to let you know that it's time to empty your tray. All right, so first I want to show you, I'm just going to brew a shot of espresso to show you the motions here and show you the buttons and stuff like that. So I'm going to put my little mug under there. Let's pull this forward so you can get a better look at it. So once you turn it on, like I said, when you turn on the power switch on the back there, this front will be flashing red. Once you push it, the machine's on. When you push it off again, it just goes back into a power save mode. Okay, let's turn it back on. A bunch of different icons here. They're very straightforward. They use, obviously the pictures represent what it is. Basically 4 buttons on the front here, your control buttons. The power one, which I already showed you. Underneath it, there's a coffee bean and a little scoop. Now when you cycle through here, you basically have 4 options, okay? The first option here is 1 bean, all right? The second one's 2 beans, the third one's 3 beans, and the last one is that little scoop. This is going to be your, how powerful your coffee is, how strong it is. 1 being, weaker coffee, 2 being a medium roast, and then 3 being basically a bolder or darker, stronger roast. All right, excuse me, not roast, actually your shot. So when you change the amount of beans, you're changing the amount of coffee it's grinding. Okay, if you want a lighter coffee, it's not going to grind as much. You go on 3 beans, it's going to grind the maximum for that specific shot. I found I happen to prefer really strong coffee, so I always stay at 3 beans. What's pretty cool is that when you go to that 4th option, it goes to the little scoop, and that's when you use your bypass doser on top. If you're putting pre-grounds in there or pre-ground coffee, you put it directly in there, and then you want to make sure you're on your scoop so it knows to pull it from there as opposed to grinding. As far as the grinder inside this machine, it's pretty quiet. I have a Keurig. Actually, it's right here. I still use it. It's still an awesome machine, but nothing like this. That thing's pretty loud. I have the first generation one, and when that thing's going, it is screaming. In the morning, it wakes me up. With this machine, with the grinder on, it's pretty quiet. It's not dead silent, but it's not rumbling or anything like that. Even though it's vibrating in there, it's pretty contained and pretty quiet. So yes, I'm going to go to 3 beans for the strongest coffee, or the most grinds available. And then you have 2 buttons on the left here. The top button is showing, let me zoom in here so you can see it's a little better. The top button is showing like a half-filled cup, and then the bottom one's a more filled cup. You can easily program these. It's really easy to program. Basically, when you get your machine new, when you or at any point, you can program these and change the how it's programmed. Basically, you push and hold the button down. You hold it down the entire time. It's going to first grind your beans, then fill up. It's going to tamp inside, which is basically compressing the coffee grounds, and then it's going to start brewing. You hold this down the entire time, okay? Once it starts brewing your shot inside, you let go when that's enough, and it will always remember that exact amount. Not how much you're grinding, but it's going to remember exactly how much coffee it's actually dispensing into your glass. So what I've done is I programmed this to basically be 1 shot, or what I would consider 1 shot of espresso. And then on the bottom button, it's the same thing. You can program whatever you want, but for this one, I programmed it for my specific mug. So when I push this, it'll brew coffee until that specific mug is filled to where I want it. Really, really simple, really straightforward. At any time at all, I can push and hold that, and I can actually, reprogram it. It's really, really simple. I love that feature. Now, at any point in time, if you push this button once, it'll show just the 1 cup here, and it'll brew your 1 shot. If I push it twice, it'll show the double cup, and basically that's 2 shots. What's cool about this is that if it does 2 shots, it'll go through the entire process again and grind fresh beans. It won't put hot water through those already used beans, okay? So if I do 2 shots or even 2 cups of coffee, it'll go through the whole process twice. Then you have this kind of a knob. Now you have 3 positions. Right now it's just on the upright position, which it has to be in to brew your coffee. To the left, if I return this to the left, which I'll show you in a couple minutes, it'll go to the steam option, and to the right will be hot water. You can dispense hot water with this machine if you're making a cup of tea or doing whatever. Like I said, if I wanted to just put some hot water in my cup to warm it, I can do that. So it does just dispense water. So by the way, at any point in time, if you're out of water or if your garbage container is filled up with grinds, you will have a blinking light, the appropriate light that'll come up either on the top or the right, and just letting you know what the deal is. Alright, so it's very good about letting you know if something's wrong, so it's not going to go through a cycle and then you're going to run out of water or something. It'll let you know in advance. And when they're out, you'll also get that same warning light. So if I'm out of water, or if this container is not properly seated in, I'll have that warning light. Alright, so power's on. All I have to do, this is preset for 1 shot, so I'm going to push this button. I already selected how strong I want my coffee. It's 3 beans. So I'm pushing the button once, and I'll go through the process. As things are happening, I'll tell you what's going on. So first, grinding our beans. Pulling the appropriate amount of beans down into the grinder. What you're hearing now is the a pre-soak. What it does is this noise right there. It's wetting my grinds first, so that when it brews through, it's already prepped. It's better for brewing. Zoom in on that. You can see there's two. It dispenses out of two holes. And this is pretty common for any espresso machine to pump out of two holes here. So what you can do is you can actually put two glasses side by side. All right, so that it's actually brewing into two glasses at the same time. Whether you're doing two shots or whatever you want to do, it'll pretty much every machine, whether it's super automatic or semi-automatic, it will have two spouts that it's actually brewing out of. So that's pretty much it. I have a shot of espresso. You can see the crema, which is on top. Basically, when you're making espresso, and this is for people who just don't know anything about it at all, and this, again, it's all new to me, the difference between regular coffee and espresso is pressure brewed through finer grinds, okay? So what's happening is you're putting pressure on that water and pushing it through the grinds, as opposed to a drip style coffee, your regular old coffee pot, where basically gravity is pulling the water down through coarser grinds. And what happens is, as it's pushing through, it's almost like it comes out in like a froth. It doesn't come out like a liquid, it comes out like a froth or a foam. And the foam that settles on top is known as the crema. And it's very sought after to have a very rich, thick, creamy crema. It's where a lot of the oils collect from the coffee beans. It's extremely flavorful. So this is what I just have it set for one shot. It's a little bit of a heavy shot. Most people would have it set for a little bit less. But you can see nice, rich, foamy crema on top. Alright, and as it's actually brewing, you can see it kind of settling. It's actually fun to watch. Maybe I'm easily amused, but anyway, let me take a little sip of this. Extremely rich, delicious. Now, if you wanted to make a Americana, which, from what I understand, is basically a shot of espresso with hot water in it. So let's say make espresso, and it's a little strong for you, or you just don't, you know, it's too much. And it's delicious. All you want to do is add hot water to it, and that would be an Americana. So what I'm going to do is, just for demonstration purposes here, I'm going to switch this over to the water. All right. I'm just going to dispense hot water into my cup. Now that first little bit was basically the cleaning of it, but since it's hot water I'll just throw it in my cup anyway. And there we go. So now I basically thinned out my shot of espresso into a less strong coffee drink, an Americana. I'm still getting a lot of that flavor, but it's definitely dulled out. Yeah, so obviously you see the water dispensing through the steam wand. The steam wand itself, there's a rubber nub on here. It's very smooth and fluent to move around and to rotate. Very easy to use. The wand part itself on the bottom here is it gets pretty warm, but it won't burn you or scald you. And by the way, this just pulls right off. There's a rubber, two rubber seals here, so easy cleaning. See the tip there you get with this. Let's do a milk-based drink. Let's make a cappuccino. Cappuccinos are fun to make and watch and look at and all that kind of stuff. So I have my little pitcher here of milk. To make a cappuccino, I'm going to steam it right into the mug itself. But anyway, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to point this towards my drip tray first, because it's going to shoot some hot water through there. You don't want hot water in your milk. It's just going to thin it out, and it's not what you want. So I'm going to rotate this to the other side where it's pointing at the steam. It's going to shoot out a little bit of steam here, or excuse me, a little bit of water to clean it. Alright, I'm going to put this into my cup, give it a second to start creating that steam. Now I want to leave the tip basically just underneath this top of the milk. Alright, because I want to create that air. You can see it's rising in volume. I'm actually going to bring this all the way in because I want to raise the heat a little bit without creating more volume because it's at the top already. Alright. Bring that back down. Put my cup right in front of there and brew a shot of espresso. Same thing, 3 beans. Now, I found this machine, it takes about 21 seconds to brew a shot of espresso. I think 26 seconds is perfectly ideal. The amount of time it takes the coffee or the water to go through the coffee grinds will definitely control basically how much flavor you're getting out of that coffee. For espresso, you want to take a little bit of time. You don't want it to just shoot through right away. Alright, take you off zoom here, and that is a perfect cup of cappuccino. So, let me give a little taste test here. That is delicious. Now on the side of the machine here, we open this up. Let me show you the grinds too. Basically, what happens is once it grinds your coffee, it's putting into the brew group on the inside, which I'm going to show you in a second. And it's pouring it into an area, and then it's actually pushing up and it's tamping. Very similar if you're a pipe smoker, or if you happen to watch some of the pipe smoking videos I've done. When you tamp your tobacco, you're compressing it. Okay, so what it's doing is it's compressing the coffee grinds so that they're not loose. You want them, kind of packed together. So when the hot water is being forcefully pushed through it, it's not going to just push right through it. It actually has to, pass this dense, section of coffee grinds. But what happens is when it kicks it out in these little, compressed pucks. Alright, so they're easy to handle. It sucks all the moisture out. Alright, if I were to squeeze this, it would crumble. But it's pretty easy to handle, so you're not dealing with more of a mess. But that's basically what you're grinding and compressing. Alright, so using about that much coffee per shot. You're getting a heck of a lot of flavor out of it. It's really cool. This holds up to 8 pucks. I found that it dispenses probably 5 or 6, and then the light will come on just because of the way they shoot in there. They kind of stack on each other. Even though this will probably hold 10 or 12 of them, the sensor kicks on at about 5 or 6, just for reference there. You open your side up here, and this is what's called the brew group. Alright, see, just push over, the whole thing comes right out. This is basically, let me just shake this over the sink a little, I'm not dripping. This is the brain of the machine. This is what's doing all the work inside. Alright, you can see on top here, this piece right here with the O-ring, this is what the section underneath is actually pushing up into, and that's tamping your coffee grinds. And this whole thing pops right out. As far as cleaning, you put this under your sink, you just basically rinse off the grinds in there. And then there's certain spots that are greased up on the tracks. There's grease on there, so you don't really wash this thoroughly. If you did, this comes with a tube of grease, alright, so you can re-grease that if you need to. But basically all you have to do is just rinse this whole brew group, let it air dry, alright, put the whole thing right back in, and you're ready to go. Just put it right in the tracks, and it locks right in. I'm going to put this in the steam, put this over to steam. I just have a clean cloth here, a washcloth. And once this spews out a little bit of hot water or steam, I'm going to shut it back off. That's enough. And just wipe down my entire steam wand here. Okay. You want to do this each time, like I said, just so that you literally don't, you can pull the whole thing off if you want to. Make sure that little pinhole is clean. But if nothing else, you just don't want old dried milk to sit on there. So that's pretty much it, guys. I'm going to put a bunch of links in the description box. I'll definitely link you to this specific machine so you can look at the specs and the layout of the website and stuff. But besides that, I'm also going to link you to Whole Latte Love's YouTube page because it's extremely informative. That's all. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions about anything at all, feel free to ask, of course. Some questions, more technical questions, might be more appropriate for them. Whole Latte Love. By the way, very catchy name. Whole Latte Love. I'm in love. I'm in love with their company, their people, and their products. So I'm sold. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you soon. Take care. It's a Gaggia Brera. Gaggia is the brand of machine, and the Brera is the specific model. Just to give you an idea, other super automatic espresso machines can range anywhere from $400 to $3,200. This machine is pretty much a great benefit to anyone who ends up visiting places like Starbucks or their local coffee houses or baristas, and you're paying $6-7 for a specialty cup of coffee, and you're talking about people who do this daily, if not multiple times every single day. You easily spend thousands of dollars on coffee already, so investing $500 or $600 into a machine like this, believe it or not, is a huge money saver. You get a lot of bang for your buck. Now, what is a super automatic espresso machine? There's a lot of different ways you can make espresso, and this is literally the most convenient way. A super automatic is kind of like what it suggests. It does everything for you. It's totally automated. This is what's referred to as a bean to cup machine. You put fresh roasted whole coffee beans in the top, turn it on, push a button, and you have fresh roasted espresso. And of course you can use that to make a multitude of drinks. And yes, you can make regular old black coffee. Now, of course, with any machine or specifically any product, there's going to be pros and cons. Nothing's perfect. Where this really shines, I think, is it's the fact that it's so compact. Okay, this is only 12 inches high. All right, and about 12¼ inches to the very highest point of the machine, which is the lid for the bean hopper on the back. A lot of people have a limited height in their kitchen because of their cabinets. Now, if I put the camera up, you'll see that I still have some excess room on top here, so size isn't a huge issue. I still like the fact that it's very compact here. Price is an issue. Okay, there's a lot of different factors, and people pick different machines for different reasons. Does the $500 machine make coffee just as good as the $3,200 machine? In most cases, yes. It really just depends. I think personally that it comes back to whatever coffee beans you're putting into it. You have a quality coffee bean, the machine plays a little part in how it's going to taste. However, this machine is still extremely capable, and I think would make just as good of a cup of coffee or a shot of espresso just as much as the $2,000 machine or the $1,500 machine or anything else. But the pros of the machine on this specific machine are very great. The biggest one obviously is size. A lot of people do have that